And we have cross positions to the top of the map. We have Vampire, who has 2 wins, 1 loss. He won against Yu-Gi-Oh! And he was able to win against Killer. His introduction, of course, here.
MVP Vampire.
I'm sorry, Street Fighter voice. I spoiled it.
That's
my
right.
bad. There we have him.
Spoiler alert: he didn't beat Suho Shin last season.
Yeah. He's probably still mad about that. To the bottom of the map, we have his opponent, looking strong today. The MTW player.
MTW SuperNova.
With a win against Killer, with a win against Creator, but he lost to Happy.
Yes. Now Vampire already lost his Protoss versus Terran against Happy. And he was in a decent position. He attacked into an area where he could not surround the Bio Forces with the Zealots, as they were surrounded by ramp and walls, basically. So make sure to engage properly in this particular match. Otherwise, he may face a similar fate up against SuperNova, who is, again, going to be going for a command center first, something he really seems to like. And Vampire himself going Nexus first. So 2 greedy builds, but when these builds collide, it doesn't make Captain Planet. It actually just makes a really long macro game in most cases.
You know, later on it would be better for Creator to actually be tied with Vampire, because Vampire is his last opponent today, and he has to win against him anyway. So if he's tied with Vampire, he will advance because of the direct comparison. But it doesn't matter who wins right now. He will be on a 3-1 record. The winner of this game will be on 3-1, as is Happy. So for a perfect scenario, Happy, for example, would have to lose later on against Killer. And the winner of this match should also lose his next map. So there are a lot of different scenarios going on right now. But for Creator, it would actually be quite good if Vampire would win this, and then later on Creator taking down Vampire would be on even scores, with him SuperNova being a little bit of a bad spot here. If he loses this match, he still has a chance against Yu-Gi-Oh! Then he would be on 2-2, as is Yu-Gi-Oh! And the winner, well, if actually Yu-Gi-Oh! Is is winning against SuperNova, this would be like a little bit surprising to me because of the performance that we've seen out of the Zerg player so far in their matches against Terran.
Yeah.
But yeah, a lot of different scenarios going on here just because this group is so tight. The only player who is completely out of the competition is Killer. Everyone else still has a chance.
Something else to consider is that if Creator plays Vampire in the last match, that's going to be in arguably his best matchup right now, the one he's been practicing the most recently, and that would be a great situation for him. But we're seeing both players transition very normally here, and they're actually both able to get... Actually, Vampire, yeah, he was able to see that he did scout, he saw the command center first, SuperNova likewise has seen the Nexus first, so both players on such even footing here. The probe count insane right now, considering the Chrono Boost, 25 to 18, but with double mules, that's something that he can kind of neglect a little bit.
Yeah. And we have the Cybernetics score now done. Of course, Warp Gate research has immediately been started, and we'll find out what exactly Vampire has planned here. So far, he played a really good group. He looked strong. He took down, well, as already mentioned, he lost to Happy, but so far Happy really is the one player that at this point stands out a little bit because he's currently leading the group, so not really something that he has to be ashamed of. But let's see, SuperNova has proved to be a very, very tough opponent, especially for the Protoss players, and his Siege Tank push is something that very few Protoss today have been able to deal with.
Very true. And he may actually go for a build like that once again, as the factory is on the way very quickly off of just 2 barracks. I think he's going to add Siege Tanks into his build once more.
And both Protoss so far lost to this. So, yep. What did you do to your screen?
It's sideways, man.
Wolf's screen is sideways and it looks completely weird.
Well, I can still check everything like this, I just...
Sorry guys, but you should see that. It's brilliant.
I don't know what happened.
Well, the Marines have to Vampire right now. They catch a few probes here. Ooh, actually more than only. Oh wow, he sends them down again.
Yeah, that was a bad choice.
He's trying to...
Oh my god.
Vampire?
Well, obviously he doesn't have the second Stalker out yet, but he could have bought time better than that. Now it's out, and now with 3 Stalkers in total, he will clean this up.
10 Harvesters. He takes on another one. 11 workers killed.
And that really eliminates the Chrono Boost factor, as now the Terran has a better worker count than a Protoss plus the mules.
12! I can't believe what he just saw.
It's kind of hard to believe, yeah.
I mean, this is incredible. Why would you send all of your probes back into the Marines? Yes, you want to block him a little bit. You want to maybe surround them, but there are just too many Marines running away and waiting for the second Stalker was his best bet here. And now the siege tanks are building. He's going once again for the siege mode, and the situation that we currently have for Vampire is such a tough one. His economy is really in shatters if you compare it to SuperNova. With those extra mules that he has, his mineral income is so much better than his opponent. And now Vampire is even adding the double forge here, but he has to prepare something against those siege tanks. This is the push that SuperNova used in every single game that he played against Protoss thus far. So Vampire needs something against the tanks.
Yeah, he is. Like, quick update. I still can't figure out what's wrong on my screen. Everything is sideways.
And look how much tech he adds. Double Forge, Robotic Spay, and the Twilight Council.
He's asking for trouble, man. He's asking for it. SuperNova may gladly give it to him. He really knows how to hit these timings, but not in an all-in fashion either, just pressure-wise. And if his pressure is successful, it's very hard for the Protoss to take a third base, especially on a map like this where the third is so far. He hasn't even started working on those rocks.
There's the third tank. We have Stim nearly done.
Here, let me just put it one way.
He will move out. Yeah, there it is. He moves out.
There are 3 Stalkers and 3 Sentries on the map versus 3 tanks and 18 Marines with the medevac. A second medevac will likely join the mix very soon as well. The first medevac is crucial because it does get vision of the high ground if he wants to siege up on the edge, as we've seen him do before. If he sieges up on the edge and takes control of the ramp, any unit made in the main base will take fire.
And now he needs to warp in units as fast as possible. Yes, there is a Colossus on the way, but the Colossus doesn't have range, so he can't really compete with the siege tanks. And another problem is that this Colossus is pretty late, so it won't be there in time when this R-Force arrives at the Vampire's doorstep. Drop in the main base has been spotted, but did he really see it? Doesn't look like it. Yes, there moves away with the probes and back in. Loses way too many. Another 5-6 probes have been killed once again.
This
the
has been a
harvester
big problem.
count 44 to 51 plus the mules.
This has been a huge problem for Vampire.
SuperNova doesn't even attack with the timing. He's
he's
sitting
like,
there. He's like, well,
he's like, that's enough.
Yeah,
that's cool. That's fine with me. That's alright.
He's looking at a pretty, I mean, I want to say a pretty comfortable spawn situation, but the problem is it's like
good.
He can't really. Can he lose this?
Well,
look at the siege tank count. If he's completely caught off guard with his pants down, the siege tanks not siege, flanked by charging in zealots or whatever, then maybe. But right now, the overall supply already tells the tale.
There is one thing to be concerned about, and that is the upgrades. Right now, 2-2 is on the way for Vampire, whereas +1 armor only is on the way for SuperNova with no armory in sight. He is starting Viking production now as well, but that's not going to be very useful as Vampire is switching his composition up a little bit. Born for just the second Colossus, but getting charged and will likely get a Templar Archive soon. This is a game that Vampire still can win, but SuperNova will likely have to make mistakes for it to happen, as you said.
No, that's definitely right. But now here comes the move out with this army, and this is a huge amount of siege tanks. He has 6 already. He has Vikings building, and he has also Marauders in the mix. We still don't have extended thermal ranger, do we?
I don't think so. By the way, you made a great point. He needs flanks with his zealots. He needs to catch the tanks on siege. He cannot just fight this army straight up. He's trying to go out in the middle of the map, which is fine because that's one way to catch him on siege, but his army is just too small like this. He needs more zealots.
Even SCVs have been pulled here. He's moving across right now, and this does not bode well. 2 Colossi. That's all he has. He even uses a few Stalkers in the main base because he's afraid of drop play.
Exactly, and that's what we may see some of. SuperNova takes a huge shot at almost every single unit took some fire from that.
Especially the sentries lost all of their shields.
Cannot take a second one, and we were just seeing the same type of build we saw earlier. He's bunkering up, he's moving in towards the natural. SuperNova has really well practiced this, drops in the main. Viking for vision as well, and he can start picking off Colossi with those. Starts
to take down, even Supplyabus his opponent with the pylon that he just took down, and is now in a position where the siege tanks shield the Marines. He has the Vikings to zone the Colossi out. Yeah. And how do you engage this, especially when you're down in army supply?
You just can't. you need a third base or some other advantage to fight something like this, or a great position. He has neither.
He's trying to just wait for additional units and get even with his opponent in the army count, but this is just so moving in from every single angle that he has, but there are 3 bunkers ready, and this is just Vampire running into a wall. The bunkers are gone though. Can he maybe even come through this? I don't think so.
The Vikings are just doing too much damage to the Colossi, and SuperNova does hold here. The force field's not working against Vampire, and there's not a whole lot left on the ground. In fact, the Immortals come through.
The Immortals definitely come through, and there are not enough fire units. Vampire just crushed this army.
Yeah, he certainly did actually, and I think those upgrades are showing through with 2-2. I was certainly sure that this was not going to work, but the Immortals, once they got through there, man, he's now chasing down these medevacs.
A really great approach here by Vampire. I would not thought it possible, especially after those few bunkers were up. But he targeted perfectly with all of those Immortals, and the Colossi did a fair amount of damage before the Vikings took them down. Still, SuperNova has the better army supply here with 50 to 43. No third base for neither one of those 2 players.
Yeah, he's going to probably start a Nexus soon, but he actually wants to hide it from the Viking.
But the +2/+2 really important here, and now the third Nexus is building.
As far as I know, we still have no armory as well for SuperNova. There's no armory. He starts Ghost Academy. But Vampire in a great spot, killing those very expensive siege tanks. There's now no more of them on the map. That was really the backbone of SuperNova's army now. It looks like Vampire's even considering to start to get aggressive right now.
Oh, wow.
SuperNova is at 1-1, still no armory. Vampire can start 3-3 at any moment, but he wants to make sure he has enough units out to defend. He knows he has the advantage as well. He starts +3 armor. Not rushing things here, just making sure he is safe as can be.
Right now, he's probably just happy that he was able to get back into this game with the economy disadvantage that he had. Is actually a miracle. His army composition was exactly what he needed, and his micro, his unit control in the fight that we saw was just excellent.
Yeah, he blinked in from the high ground, ran the Zealots in first, had the Immortals at the back once all the bio was kind of cleaned up to really hit those tanks where they needed to be hit.
It was really well done. He protected the units that were most important to this situation and was able to break through. I would not have thought it possible, as mentioned before. It just looked like there was no chance for him actually to pull this off, but it was really well done and executed. A razor-thin line that he walked, and he was able to pull it off. Now, suddenly being on 3 bases, he is ahead in economy.
His Colossi are alive as well, which there are still 5 Vikings on the map, but he's switching to Ghost production. Just barely missed that Mobius reactor upgrade, so his Ghosts a little bit less in energy as they could be. SuperNova is pulling the SCVs here. He knows he's really behind, and he's got to actually make this work now. No third command center, no 2-2 upgrades. It's all about the here and the now. He has to hope to get a good engagement. The army supply, though, is not in his favor. 105 to 97.
He's moving out with his SCVs once again. More and more warp-ins now for SuperNova. He wants to fight here. The siege tanks. Well, no siege tanks here, my bad. And he's going in immediately. But look at how much DPS we have against those bio units. He needs to take down the Colossi. The first one dies, the second one as well. But SuperNova is already down in supply.
Yeah, the last of his units die here. And this is going to be it. Expect GG, because that's it. GG. I mean, that was all he had left. He sent all of his SCVs. Great hold by Vampire 2 times in a row. 2 for 2 grants him the win. And this puts him at a score now of 3-1, even with Happy.
Yeah, this puts him at 1 score with Happy, and now we have... I mean, we can talk about the situation in the group as soon as we come back from our break, but right now we are looking at a very, very interesting scenario, with Happy being on 3-1, with Vampire being on 3-1. This is actually like really, really interesting. The thing is, if I am not mistaken, I mean, I will confirm this as soon as we are on the break and I have time to go through all of this. But if I'm not mistaken, Kreda is actually now out of Codes. Because the thing is,
yeah, actually,
he can get into a tie situation.
The ties, though, are people who beat him. So, if I'm not mistaken,
yeah, I mean, I have to verify this. So, guys, once again, just a reminder, while you sit at home and can look at tables and everything, I just have everything in front of me and have to calculate it through in the next few minutes. But if I'm not mistaken here, then Creator can only tie with players that he lost to. He will definitely have to tie. He will be tied with Yu-Gi-Oh! Or SuperNova because they are facing each other in the next round. So, if not for a three-way tie that I didn't see just yet, he has no chance of advancing here. But I will confirm that. We have a few minutes where I can go through all the scenarios and update you as soon as we are back. So the next game that we are going to see today is actually Happy against Killer. If Happy wins against Killer, he's definitely in Code S.
There's no way for him to not be.
If he loses against Killer, he's on 3-2, my tie with a few players. I will go through that and I will update you as soon as we are back here with the up and downs.